All right, so this is the geometry. We are doing properties of dilation. And from our worksheet, we filled out this first one right here, scale factor. Okay, distance between the center of dilation and a point that has been transformed by a dilation is determined by the distance from the center of dilation to the original point multiplied by this scale factor. So a whole lot of words to basically just say, scale factor is the one that determines, how far it is apart. So everything. So the distance of the sides, okay, are going to, be a ratio of the scale factor also. See, the scale factor is the ratio of, and I'm going to show you guys how to write this, A prime, B prime, to A B. So, from last semester, hopefully you guys could actually remember this because this was very, very important back then. Right here. This would be called my what? Say pre-image, right? Pre-image, and this is my image. Very good. So I have pre-image and image. So when I do my ratio, it's going to be the image over the pre-image. Okay, that's important. Image over the pre-image. Now, a line that is dilated will typically be parallel to the original line. If the original line goes to the point you're dilating with respect to, then the line is not parallel, but rather will be collinear. So what that means is it will be parallel all the time, except when it is collinear, and collinear means it's going to be on top of it. Collinear, remember when we had that vocabulary, means same line. So this is going to be on, I'll write on top of, to try and help you guys with that word for this one right here. So it's going to be on top of the other line. So that's going to be collinear. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and put these points on my graph. 0, 4 is A. B is 0, -1. C is 2, 3. 1, 2. Draw my shape. All right, for the next part here, okay, we already did that. It says dilate by a scale factor 2. Now, if I'm going to dilate by a scale factor 2, what am I going to do to all my values? I'm going to double it, right? So I'm going to multiply each one of my points by 2. Very good. So that's what I need to do. I have another pen. So let's go ahead and multiply point A by 2. So that's going to give me A prime, which would be 2 times 0? 0. 4 times 2?
8.
There's my A prime. B prime. What am I going to get? 0 times 2. Say 0.
0.
-1 times 2. -2. A lot of mumbling there for that one. C prime. What are we going to get here? 4 and... Very good. 4 and 6. All right, let's go ahead and put that on my graph now. I have here. I have here. Yes.
Are you recording?
Yes, I am. 4. There we go. So we have all our points there. How much bigger is my second image to my first image? How much bigger? Someone say 2 times. 2 times. Why is it 2 times bigger? Scale factor is 2, right? I'm going to tell you right now, that's a test question. It's going to ask you something ridiculous like that. How much bigger? Oh, it's 2 times bigger because your scale factor is 2. All right. It says point C is rad 13 units from the origin. How far is C prime from the origin? Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Here's C prime, right? C prime is right there. How far is 4 away from the origin? Say 4. Okay, because it's the origin is 0, 0. The origin is always 0, 0. So I'm going to use my Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this is going to be 4 units away from 0. So that's 4 squared plus, how far is this away from 0? 6 units squared equals c squared. So 16 plus 36, c squared. And how do I undo that square? Square root. So I'm going to have 52 is equal to c squared. So c is equal to the square root of 52. So that one's going to be my c prime. I'm going to put the prime on that one for that. Now, I'm going to do a ratio of like what we had up here. So which one's going to go first? The prime, right? So it would be this one. So if I'm doing this, it would be rad 52 divided by, what was my other distance? It's right here. It was given to us in the problem right here. So square root of 13. So I'm going to use that. And in my handy dandy calculator, so let's do the math right here. So control divide. Ah, hey look, I already have it there. Control divide square root 52 over square root 13. And if I do it right, it gives me 2. Why is 2 important? That is my scale factor. And that's the whole reason why I'm actually going through and doing all this. The scale factor is relation to all of that together. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the same thing for example 2. So please, I want you guys right now put these points on this graph. Alright, you guys ready to do this? Hope so. Alright, it says part B said dilate this by a scale factor of 4. What am I going to do with that now? Multiply everything by 4. So if I'm going to multiply everything by 4, I'm going to go a prime will be multiplying a by 4. So what would a prime be? 12. Very good. 12 and 4. Very good. 1 times 4 is 4, right? B prime. 4, 4. Very good. C prime. 4, 8. Very good. That's what I'm looking for. So now I'm going to put those ones on my graph. So 12, 4, 4, 4, 4, All right. So now we're going to go through and do some math for this. Okay, this is going to be different because, like I said, last time I used the calculators, and I'm going to change it up because these are things that you're going to have to know by hand coming up here soon. I'm going to tell you when we can use the calculators for the other stuff, but for the slopes, you're going to want to do it by hand. All right, so let's take a look, and it says AB. So the slope formula is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so now we're doing AB here. So my first one is going to be AB. So my AB, we're doing the slope of these ones. So it would be, if I'm looking at it like this, y2 is y from the second point. So that's going to be 1 minus y from my first point. 1, right? This one's for AB. Over, on this one right here, we're going to have x right here from my second point. So it's 1 minus 3. Ooh, thank you. All right, so 1 minus 1 gives me 0 over negative 2. So 0 divided negative 2 just gives me 0. Right? Okay, so my slope for AB is 0. Okay, now let's do the next one. Let's do BC. So, BC, so that means y from the second point. So if it's doing BC, C is going to be the second point. So that's going to be 2 minus 1 over 1 minus 1. And that gives me 1 over 0. Can I divide by 0? No. What do you get when you divide by 0?
You have no friend.
Yes. Besides that.
Oh, 0.
Nope, it's not 0.
Oh, wait, what?
It's the number you started with.
No.
What is that?
1 divided by 0.
1.
You have a calculator. Okay, what's it say? The calculator actually tells you the word that it is.
Undefined?
Undefined. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, undefined. Okay.
That's going to be undefined. That's what I was looking for on that one. So I need that. So my slope is undefined. That's important. I need to know what that is. Okay, let's do the next one. So what's the third side of my triangle that I have not done yet? CA, right? So I'm going to do CA or AC. I'll write it either way. So I'm going to write AC. It's going to give me the same thing no matter which way I do it. Down too far. There we go. Okay. So what is Y? So I'm using C as my second one. So it's going to be 2 minus 1, right? 2 minus 1 over 1 minus 3. Two minus 1 is going to give me 1, right? 1 minus 3?
2.
Negative 2, right?
Oh, yeah, negative.
Negative 2. So my slope is negative 1/2. You just put the negative out front. So if the negative was on top, then it would also go out front. But if it's on top and bottom, 2 negatives make a positive, right? Yes.
I have.
So I have this one right here. So now I have those for all my first ones here. So I had 0, undefined, and negative 1/2. Now let's do the same thing. So now it's going to be A prime, B prime. So I would like for you guys to do that now. So while I'm doing this, I want you guys working those out, please. So you guys are doing the same thing for what I have here.
Listen, can I go to the restroom?
Someone else just asked.
No.
I'm back.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I hate it when people don't close the door.
I got it.
Master, could you get that please? Thank you. You're filling those in, right? Alright, when you guys are done, go ahead, look up so I can see that you're done. Alright, so I finished this up. Let's go ahead and plug them in. 0, undefined, and -1/2. Are they all the same? Okay, so I have the same slopes, don't I? Okay, so let's go back up to the beginning. Okay, so if they have the same slope, they will be
Parallel.
parallel. So same slopes are parallel. So that's important to know. So if same slopes are going to be parallel. So let's take a look at the second part of this, the distance. Now, the distance for these ones right here, we're going to do Pythagorean theorem on this, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this by hand, and then I will go back to doing the calculator for this. Because we drew these on the calculator, remember that? We were drawing them and I had the calculator do all the work. But we have to be able to do this also by hand. So I'm going to do that for this. So same thing. So it's going to be distance. So my distance formula is going to be square root of delta x squared plus delta y squared. Okay, and that's going to equal my distance. But I'm going to explain this further, but that's just the formula. By delta means how far they're apart. Delta means how far they're apart. So let's look at it. So now if we're going to do AB again. So if I do AB, here's A and B. How far apart are my x values? How far is 3 away from 1? On a number line, how far is 3 away from 1? 2. Very good. So it's going to be the square root of 2 squared plus. Now, on a number line, how far is 1 away from 1? 0. Okay. So I could do that math right here. So that's going to be 4 plus 0, right? Yes? Okay, so that's going to be the square root of 4, which is just 2. So we got AB out of the way. Now let's do the next one. Let's do BC. Again, square root. Now let's take a look at BC. How far is 1 away from 1? 0. Very good. 0 squared plus. How far is 1 away from 2? Is it just 1 away? Yeah, it's 1 squared. So 1 squared is 1, 0 squared is 0. 1 and 0 gives me just square root of 1, which is 1, right? So square root of 1 is 1. Now my last one is going to be AC. This one's going to not look as pretty, but it's still, the math is right. So now if we're doing AC, how far is 3 away from 1? It's going to be 2. It's just asking how far they're away. It's not a negative or a positive. So it's just going to be 2 plus. How far is 1 away from 2? 1 squared. So 2 squared is 4 plus 1 is 5, right? So that's square root of 5, which is, it's an approximate 0.89, I think. Nope, I was way off. 2.24. So it's approximately 2.24. Now we're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to do it with our dilated values. So I'm doing the dilated values. That's going to be A prime, B prime. Square root. How far is 12 away from 4? 8, very good. 8 squared. Plus, how far is 4 away from 4? 0. So that's going to be the square root of 64, which is just 8. Okay? Now let's take a look at the next part. So the next part is going to be B prime, C prime. So my B prime, C prime. How far is 4 away from 4? 0. Now, how far is 4 away from 8? 4, right? So that's going to give me 0 and 16. So square root of 16, which is just 4. Now my last one is going to be A prime, C prime. So AC. So how far is 12 away from 4? 8. Very good. Squared plus how far is 4 away from 8? 4. So that's going to be 64 and 16. Let's see. So 8 squared plus 4 squared, square root of 80, which is going to give me approximately 8.94. Now, and I'm going to show you why we're doing all this. So 2.24, or square root of 5, which will work also. 8.94, or square root of 80 for that one.
Their slopes are the same because they're parallel to each other?
Yes, they are going to be parallel. So when I do this, that's why we went with this. A line that is dilated will typically be parallel to the original. So that's the reason why these are parallel to each other.
No matter like how big or small, they're still like
Still going to be parallel. The only time it's not going to be is like on this one right here. If you notice, these are going to be collinear. They're on top of each other. That's what this piece right here means. So my AB portion is collinear with the A prime B prime. So that's the collinear that's on top of.
So like yeah, they're only collinear. They're like they line up on the same line.
Exactly. All right, so let's take a look at my information here. What conclusion can you draw from the slopes of the line? They are parallel. So they are going to be parallel. E. Write the ratio of the new length of each side to the original. So we're setting up our ratio, right, Angelica? So, right here, so this first one, I would write 8 over 4, right? No, I'm sorry, 8 over 2. And if I reduce 8 over 2 on my calculator, and I go 8 over 2, that's going to give me just 4. Why is 4 important? That is my scale factor or ratio for that one, right? So it's 4 over 1. Let's do the same thing for the next one. So 4 over 1 gives me 4 over 1, which is just 4. So there's my scale factor again, right? And if I do this one, square root of 80 over square root of 5, that one's going to be interesting. So control divide, square root of 80 over square root of 5, like this. What should I get? I should have what? My answer should be 4. Why should it be 4? That's my scale factor. And so my answer does come out right. It is 4. So I am going to have that. So they are all the same here. Now, given all this information right here, you're going to have to do this and reproduce this on an exam. You're going to have to do this one on your practice for today also. So, I'm going to give you a couple things to do. So we got about 8 minutes left. I want you to fill in the rest of this, but instead of multiplying it by a number more than 1, I'll multiply it by a number less than 1. If you remember from yesterday's notes, if you multiply it by a number that's more than 1, what's going to happen?
It's gonna
Enlarge it, and if it's less than 1, it shrinks it. Very good. So you're going to do the same thing given the shrink. The shrinkage, I guess you could say. All right. So you're going to have to finish this one for your notes, and then your practice is almost exactly the same. Okay, don't forget, like and subscribe. Give it the thumbs up.